So many trailblazers in here, innovators, change makers, just an incredible, incredible group of women and a few very wonderful men as well. Thank you for being here. And so many of you are doing so many great things in our community through your industries, through your philanthropy, and even through the people that you are raising. And I know sometimes the work that you're doing can seem somewhat invisible. It can seem like it's not being seen, but I want to say we value everything that you're doing and all that you're building and contributing and adding to this community. So thank you, and thank you so much for being here tonight. For those of you, thank you. For those of you that I haven't met before, I think I've met most of you, but there are a few new faces. My name is Tassan, and I am the founder of Spoken Leadership and Education. And tonight is our inaugural event, and yes. And I want to thank all of you for quite literally selling us out. We have a very long wait list, and I wish we could have accommodated everyone on our list, but I feel like with this group of people, we really have exactly the right energy in the room tonight. So Spoken Leadership and Education was created to build something that I think really addresses a need in our community, and that's a need for really strong community connection and authentic conversations, and especially authentic conversations with leaders, and especially women leaders. You know, I think we want to hear not only about their successes, we want to hear about the trials and tribulations, the pitfalls, the challenges along the way, some of the difficulties. And I think that when we share these types of stories, we all learn. We're all able to move forward with more clarity, with more authenticity, and a lot more strength. Spoken is an acronym, and it stands for stories, perspectives, opportunities, knowledge, education, and navigation. And that last word, navigation, is deeply meaningful because so often our paths are not linear. We're usually navigating without any sort of a map. So Spoken builds off the success of Women's Lead. And I know many of you, I saw at our Women's Lead events over the years. Women's Lead is something I co-founded and co-chaired through Nicola Wealth. And we are continuing that mission outside of Nicola Wealth. But I want to say a huge thank you to Nicola Wealth for getting behind Spoken Leadership and Education, and especially being our sponsor tonight at our inaugural event. And thank you. We have members of the senior leadership team here tonight. We just got a call from John Nicola before this evening that he was sadly unable to make it. John's wife, Claire, is here. Thank you. We've got Chris Nicola, my husband, David Sung. We've got two senior women investment advisors here tonight, Sophia Ito and Martine Cunliffe. And I know many of you here in this room are good friends of theirs, so thank you all for being here tonight. And thank you, Nicola Wealth, for your sponsorship. I think it really does reflect your ethos around giving back to the community, so thank you again. So I just want to start, before our panelists come up, by framing this evening with a personal story, because that's what this is all about, is the sharing of these stories. So I spent many years in the financial industry, about 20 years, and when I was 25, I started as an investment advisor at a bank-owned brokerage firm, stock brokerage firm. So at the time, I was working from 6 in the morning to 10 at night, you know, the long hours that we put in when we're starting out in our careers. And I remember just feeling like it was incredibly grueling, but worthwhile because I was chasing far more than success. I was chasing that sense of empowerment and agency that comes through financial literacy. And that's something I didn't grow up with, so it's something I really, really wanted. Anyway, I remember after about 5 years in the industry, in that particular role, I was walking home from work one night and I was reflecting on how challenging it would be to raise a family, go on maternity leave even, while building this very competitive career. And at the time, if you can imagine, I was one of 40 advisors. There were only 4 of us who were women, and we were all working in this very large open area. It was about the size of this room, bullpen. And at the front of the room, there was a list, and it ranked all of us by revenue generation. If you can believe it, I know. Okay, to make it worse, there were little graphics of race cars beside our names. And my race car was nowhere near the top. So I had some very serious concerns about how I was going to manage building a career and alongside building a family. I really didn't see the fit. Well, thankfully, senior management approached me not too long thereafter and proposed a very strategic merger with a senior advisor in the office who is more trading oriented, and I bring my financial planning expertise. And it looked like a beautiful way to allow me to move forward and build a family and build a career. Not too long after the partnership, sadly, my partner ended up having a very serious breakdown. Was very, very difficult, and I needed to navigate. In that particular set of circumstances, I decided to leave. I went to an asset management firm, and there it looked like I'd made the right choice in terms of my navigation. Everything took off. All my career aspirations came to fruition. But still, that challenge between balancing the personal and the professional was difficult. It was still quite challenging. I went through 5 rounds of IVF, still no pregnancy, a few years on an adoption waiting list, still no adoption. And then miraculously, a few years later, I got pregnant naturally. And what an amazing outcome. But the challenges didn't end. I went on my first maternity leave, and after 4 months, I had to go back to work because there were some fires to put out. And work was escalating. It was growing, which was amazing. The opportunities were building, but so was the responsibility and the amount of travel. And I remember after several years, I was away on a business trip, and I got home, and my son would not look at me, and he turned his face away from mine. And in that moment, I felt absolutely broken. And the next day, I was sitting in a meeting, and I couldn't stop reflecting on what would it look like if I worked half-time? Could I work part-time? Could I job share? I proposed those. None of those were an option, not at that time, not in finance and leadership, not then. So again, I had to navigate. And in that particular set of circumstances, I decided to leave. And I say this recognizing my privilege in being able to make that choice, absolutely. But I also say this recognizing that the industry lost another woman at the height of her capability, not because she lacked ambition, but just because really the system wasn't built for her. And so I tell this story not because I want to center myself, but because I think all of you have similar stories, whether or not they involve children. You've all had to make really difficult choices, not knowing if your decisions would benefit your career, your future, or not. You've had competing roles, you've had competing identities, and yet here you are, you're all still standing, still building, still growing, and doing amazing things. So that's why I'm so excited to have our 3 panelists here tonight. There's such inspiration from hearing the way other people navigate their situations. And these are 3 women who have really rewritten the script on what it means to be a woman in leadership. They have shaped and changed leadership on their own terms. So we're going to have a great conversation tonight. This is just the beginning. This is the first spoken event. There will be more in the future, but tonight it starts here, and it starts with all of you and the idea that when stories are spoken, when they are really spoken, it can shape and change what is possible for all of us. So with that, I want to say thank you for being here, and we're going to begin. So